just to kind of create context for all of the people that are probably going to come at me in the comments thinking that I'm better than them because I don't smoke weed. That's not the case. I understand all the health benefits of marijuana and all of these statistics that everybody about to tell me. The reason why I personally stopped smoking weed was because I'm glad that I could tell myself no to something that I really enjoyed. And I think it's that point of like knowing when something is your master and when you gotta stop. Like I was one of those people that would literally smoke weed every single day after work, drive to 7-Eleven.
How do you know something's your master, though?
Because it's all you think about. It's a part of your habit. It's habitual. It's like waking up in the morning and grabbing your cell phone before you even start praying to God. It's like Instagram is like your God, you know? It's the same as with marijuana. Like every day after work, without a doubt, I would drive to 7-Eleven, make that stop. I would walk inside of the door. The cashier, his name was Ali. He even knew who I was because I walked in there every day so much. I would go get an entourage, tropical fruit punch, tropical Skittles, Cheez-Its, and all of that. And I would go home, smoke every single night.
Did anything change your daily routine?
What do you mean?
What made you stop that routine?
What made me stop the routine of smoking weed? Well, right after I met my wife. So, funny enough, after we met, I still had the habit of smoking weed, but she didn't smoke at all. Nor did her dad smoke weed either. So when I started operating with them, you know, he didn't. Well, my father-in-law didn't know that I smoked weed at all, or he would already have flipped out about it, whatever. But I brought my bad habits over to my wife, and it's only but so long that you're around somebody and you smoking weed, and they don't actually start to pick up on the habit. And that was number one. That was dangerous of me to influence somebody's life in that manner who wants to live a healthy lifestyle and a Christian lifestyle where you shouldn't even be smoking weed as a follower of Christ. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But I remember how it all happened and how I stopped. So funny enough, and it's even deeper. Watch this. It's even deeper. Watch. I remember me and my little brother were at my apartment. My wife was inside of the room. Me and my brother were playing Madden, right? Funny enough, I never smoked with my brother a day in my life, and I promised myself I never would. But at the time, me and my little brother didn't really have a great relationship, so we didn't have much to talk about. So the only thing that we had in common was marijuana. I had it at my house, had an entourage, and I rolled it, and I started smoking it myself. And I remember he asked me, yo, and at that moment, yo, you know if something don't feel right, I passed it to him. We get to smoking and everything. We both high in the crib. That was the first time I ever smoked with my little brother. Just before I even move forward in the story, me being such of a bad influence to him, and number one, him being 18 years old. Number two, him being a college basketball player. Well, he wasn't in college yet. He was still in high school. But him being serious in high school and me influencing him to do something of that manner was completely wrong and out of pocket. You feel what I'm saying? And I remember I had to tell I told my mom in front of my little brother that, yo, I smoked weed with my little brother. She was very, very upset with me. And I never want to feel that again. You know, and funny enough, after that night was over, my little brother left in the morning, right? That same morning, my father-in-law calls me on the phone and was like, yo, I'm about to stop past your apartment. He never comes to the apartment. I'm about to stop past your apartment because I'm trying to grab something real quick, right? So I'm like, oh, snap. Because I know he would have snapped, like he tripped out. So I grabbed Febreze, I opened up all the windows, like how you do when the cops come and you got to roll all your windows down and spray. It's that panic attack of knowing that, like, yo, this is illegal, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, that's something I never wanted to feel again anyway, either. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to jam myself up to feel like that, like just panicking. So I'm spraying everywhere, open up all the windows, whatever. He knocks on the door. So I open up the door, whatever.
Big smile.
I open up the door, right? So he didn't come inside, whatever. I had to give him something. But he was like, his face with me, he was like, yo, that marijuana that I smell in there? And I was like, nah, my little brother was in here. I pushed it down on my little brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to admit that I was a weed smoker to my father-in-law. There's even a lesson in that. If you're doing something behind closed doors that you're not afraid to do in public, then maybe you shouldn't even be doing it. Because why are you afraid to tell everybody? I was so afraid to tell people that I smoke weed. If it was a cool thing, then I should be cool with telling everybody. I didn't want to do that on a public platform at all. So it's like right after that happened, right? And he knew I had lied, and I'm not a liar. So I called. So I think like a few hours later, I had called him and I was like, "Yo, nah, that wasn't the situation. I was smoking weed. I smoke weed." So he was like, "Okay," and hung up the phone. I think like that same exact night or that morning or whatever, it just became like a 3-hour conversation where he was just like lecturing me about, doing drugs and how basically me having a responsibility of, number one, being I was trying to get my gun license, right? Being a licensed gun owner or being around licensed gun owners and having marijuana on you, that could cause the licensed gun owner to go to jail. They get their car pulled over, or the police come to their house for whatever reason, and the burglar alarm happened to going off, and the police gotta raid the whole crib, and next thing you know, they find weed in there. Somebody going to jail. So he started breaking down all of these different responsibilities that you have and how I could get in trouble because of that, and not to mention the influence that I'm putting down on my wife as a man. And that was the most important piece to me, was that I did not want my wife to pick up on that habit. Nor did I want my kids to pick up on the habit. And I think like a lot of people that smoke weed, listen, I'm not about to sit here and say that what you're doing is wrong. I'm just trying to present a different perspective of, would you pass that blunt to your little sister? Would you pass the blunt to your kids? If that answer is no, then why are you doing it to yourself? That was why I stopped. That was why. Not because of the plant is bad. Of course we know it's health benefits to it. That's why I stopped. It was the discipline level that I need to have. It was the responsibility and the influence that I had. I never wanted to influence my little brother to ever think that it was okay to smoke weed again when I knew that he was a basketball player and I wanted him to live a healthy life. I never wanted to influence my wife to start smoking weed when she lived a healthy lifestyle. I never wanted to get my father-in-law in trouble if I'm sitting in the car with him and I accidentally have a blunt on me, and next thing you know, we get pulled over by the cops. Boom, we in trouble. That's happened to me before. I went to jail in the state of New Jersey because, funny enough, I think one of my friends, I let him hold my car, right? Next thing you know, it was a blunt that was left inside of the middle console. I didn't know it was there. I forgot. I think we were smoking it the night before. I forgot it was left there. It was like small little roach. I'm driving through New Jersey, right? I pull over to the what's the thing called? To the shoulder, because I got lost. I pull back off the shoulder. Next thing you know, police behind me. I get pulled over. Whatever, I put my windows down. Police come up. They smell the weed in the car. Boy, like, yo, we got probable cause. Get out the car right now, immediately. Got me out the car, slammed me on the front of the vehicle. It was the first time something like crazy like that ever happened to me. That scared the shit out of me. Like, slammed me on the car, whatever. Like, and then they literally raided my whole car, ripped through the whole thing, the trunk and everything. Boom, found a little piece of roach. Do you know what happened?
What happened?
They give me a subpoena. A summons, whatever, to tell me that I got to come back to New Jersey for court. I come back to New Jersey for court the following week, whatever. First, before I even went back to court, I'm already nervous because I don't know what's going on. I've never been to court before, none of that, because it's not my MO. You get what I'm saying? I'm not one of them tough dudes that was in the streets. That's not me. So, funny enough, I say, yo, I need to get a lawyer. I call a lawyer in New Jersey. Guess how much he charged me in order to even be able to take on the case for a small marijuana case? Guess how much he charged me? $1,500. Not to mention, I didn't even have a $1,500, so I had to find out how to get the $1,500 from somewhere. Found out how to get the $1,500, paid him. That was before the court case even happened. Then I get to the court case. He goes into the room. And literally, within 5 minutes, he fixes everything. 5 minutes. He got paid $1,500. He comes back out and he's like, yeah, so the judge told me that you're going to have to come back tomorrow and stand in front of him. But basically, we're going to give you this thing in New Jersey. It's called like a diversionary program, whatever, right? I go back in front of the judge the next day for a diversionary program. Mind you, this is just for a roach of weed, like just a roach, a small little thing of weed. I wasn't even smoking. It was just in my car. I get in front of the judge. He says because I don't have a record, he'll put me in the diversionary program. Guess how much the diversionary program costs? $3,000. And then he told me that I had to make an initial down payment before I was even able to leave, but they was going to keep me. in county, right in county jail. I'm not gonna leave there if I don't pay. Just like how like Bernie Sanders talking about, yo, people that don't got bail, he's trying to make it a way to where they can still get out. That happens. I seen it, witnessed it with my own eyes. With the roach, I would have not have been able to go home because I didn't have $500 to put down on that $3,000 immediately. And then I was subject to a probation officer for that whole year, all for a roach. Now ask yourself, I had to ask myself this question, was that worth it? Was all of those scenarios that I just spoke about worth me sparking up that weed again? It wasn't.
One thing you said that I found a little interesting. You said that you and your brother's relationship was a little rocky at first.
Yeah.
And you felt like the marijuana brought you together. And I thought a little deeper. I think a lot of people relate to that, even though it's not marijuana. It could be a different drug. It could be sex. It could be
Many
gambling.
different things.
How did that feel for you? That it took marijuana in order for y'all to kind of like have a bro moment.
That's humiliation. That means that I wasn't even man enough to be able to have a real relationship or a conversation with my brother to really get to know him beyond a drug that prevented us from talking. The drug, all the drug did was just prevent us from actually talking and having a real relationship with one another. Now me and my brother, we great friends, we like best friends. He looks at me like his dad. Like a mentor, because I've displayed actions of a leader, of a man that he can actually follow, who's doing the right things and being disciplined. At the time, that wasn't the case. So I would throw weed in the middle of it to say, oh, that's how we're going to mend the relationship. You know? And I think a lot of people are in that scenario of, what is it that's in the middle of, let's say, you and the girl that you dating? You know, is it just sex so that y'all can stop from the real issue of the fact that y'all not compatible with each other? You know, it's like, I think we got to remove all of these layers that stop us from really having a connection. That stop us from really, stop you from really being a man, you know, and owning up to your responsibilities. My little brother's my responsibility. I will have a responsibility as a 25-year-old man to make sure my 19-year-old little brother's taken care of. And at that moment, I did not do that. And when I think back at that, that's a very like bad place to be. I mean, I really think back, and I never want to be in that space again where somebody can't count on me to act on their own best interest when they're being immature.
Including your father-in-law?
Absolutely. And he did the same thing for me. He did the same thing for me in the sense of, yo, like, I'm not about to allow you. He said this to me. I'm not allowing you to smoke weed more. That's done. And what's funny is that conversation was so foreign to me because I never had a male figure that told me that I wasn't going to do something. I think for a lot of men, black men specifically, we have that issue. When a male figure comes and says, yo, you're not doing that. Be quiet. Sit down. Not how it's going to operate. How many more of us will really be level-headed and have our mind on and moving in the right direction if we had a father figure in our lives that told us, yo, sit down, shut the hell up, you don't know what you're talking about. Just sit down, dog. You're making all the wrong decisions with your life right now. Imagine how much different we would be. So I'm thankful for him for instilling those qualities inside of me and acting in my best interest when I wasn't doing it for myself. And then not being biased to the fact of that's his daughter. He was really looking at it from a huge overview and saying, yo, you're not doing the right thing for your family. We had a conversation about it. Yo, you're not doing the right thing for your fam. Your wife, your future kids, like, bro, your brother, like, what's up with you? And that really blew my mind. Ever since that day, from that particular day that I had a conversation with my father-in-law, I've never once smoked weed again. Never once. It's been like 3 years. And I'm proud of that.
You just answered the question I was about to ask. Are you proud of it?
100% proud of myself. 100%. And I don't wish to go back. Has there been times that I thought about it because it's becoming legal now and like, you know, what I you know, but it's like the second that you go back is the second you tie yourself right back down into things you don't want to be a part of.
So if you can use one word just to describe one word on why you stopped smoking weed, what would that word be?
Freedom.
Freedom from what?
From any sort of substance or worldly product that is influencing my decisions. I have the freedom to now be able to make my own choice. And my choice is, every time I look at that, I say, I'm not doing it. That's freedom. Freedom is looking at the thing that's tempting you the most. And I talk about this a lot, whether it be with men. And seeing, it's, you know how easy it is to see a woman that's on the street that looks amazing and your girl or your wife not around, and next thing you know, you go and act on that. Freedom is saying to yourself, that's not something that I wish to do. And I'm not allowing that to influence me to get to that place I don't want to be. That's freedom. A lot of people will look at it as, no, that's controlling. No. Freedom is me having a choice and having a decision of my own thoughts. My own thoughts. This is what I want freedom. I want freedom of thought. You know? But when you have these things that are constantly controlling that, you're not really free. You're a slave to it. I was a slave to weed, you know? At one point in time before I met my wife, I was a slave to sex. You feel what I'm saying? Which a lot of men are. Some men are a slave to alcohol. Some men are a slave to whatever your fancy may be, whatever that is. How are you going to break free from that? And when you do, that's when you actually become a man.